everybody, what's going on? I am Jamie Dawn, your evolutionary, revolutionary astrologer, bringing you your celestial wisdom for the week of September 15th through the 22nd. And I'm so happy to be back with you. Thank you for your patience while I was away at a graduate event for Nine Gates Mystery School. And this was a program or an event put on by Deborah Jones, our executive director, and John Lockley, the teacher. He's an African Sagoma, a shamanic teacher and healer that brought the African tradition from South Africa that he has been steeped in for over 25 years. And the teachings were brilliant, the experiences were amazing, and it was just wonderful to be in that energy field. I'm going to talk more in detail as far as my experience and what I've learned and some ahas, if you will, on my show Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific on 1-2 Radio. So it's the Jamie Dawn Show there. If you would like to tune in and listen, if you can't make it live, then there will be replays and archives that you can also access it. So just to put that pin on the map, but some themes for this week. This is a pretty big week ahead. We've got Mars is now in Cancer. I'm going to point that out simply because we can feel that energy as it's moving through and around us and offering some influence, if you will. And then the big news, of course, is our Pisces full moon. It is a partial eclipse. I find it to be a pretty big orb to start with. And then as the moon is moving through the sign of Pisces, it has a aspect or I'm losing my words for a second. It has a moment where it does touch the node of the moon, and that's what creates our eclipse energy. This is our first Pisces Virgo eclipse of the season for the next 18 months. We're finishing up the Aries Libra series, and that's going to be exact in October 2nd and 16th, which I've mentioned in my Light and Shadow report. And then also on Sunday, we have the fall equinox. So that's another pin on the map. I'm actually recording this video on Friday the 13th. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, excuse me, even though the release of the video is going to happen afterwards. But you may be able to reflect back and look at it that way. Excuse me, I need some water. So, but I do want to pull some cards, right? Because we have that for the week as well. Oh, and one other theme or aspect I'm going to talk about is Jupiter and Venus making a beautiful trine. And that also is going to influence us in a positive way, happening on Sunday this weekend, which happens to be the 15th. So we're going to be feeling the effects and the energy of that as it comes forward. But let's start with our cards. As you know, I like my Celtic deck. So here we go. Let's see. Oh, how perfect. 7 of Swords. All right. Now, I understand that with the 7 of Swords, a lot of people go into a little bit of a panic, very much like the Death card or the Tower card, which is interesting because we're working right now as of today with Friday the 13th and it being associated with death. So I'm going to talk about the Death card as well for this video. But let's start with the 7 of Swords. And what's interesting is I've had a couple of conversations with different people about this full moon and how there can be some things that come to light. Now, granted, the full moon does illuminate and it does bring things to light in order for us to face and to deal with and to be released. And this particular full moon eclipse is all about letting the unknown be revealed. Some will say secrets come out, which is true. And when we're working with the 7 of Swords, it traditionally indicates theft or betrayal, deception, things like that, and someone trying to get away with something. Maybe we're trying to get away with something. And if you're lucky, maybe you will. However, the universe has a loving way of prodding situations where you just can't hide it. And so it can create shame and embarrassment, that sort of thing. But as I often say, better the devil you know. So learning how to dance with that devil and being aware and that sort of thing is going to help with healing. It's going to help with being able to evolve into a better version of ourselves. Maybe you make a relationship better. There's some things that could come up and out that need to be dealt with. Now, on the other hand, you might be the victim of somebody's betrayal. That never feels good, obviously. And you may find that you thought you trusted somebody and they let you down, or they had their own agenda and they were using you, things like that. I would say there may be a few of you who are victim to a three-way, a third party situation, and that comes up and out, and that never feels good to deal with. If that is you, I know that's going to be hard, but remember, you will be able to get through it. And also the Seven of Swords, this is a more positive note, is that it's reminding us to be more strategic in what we do and to be resourceful, and that maybe we need to find the loophole or the shortcut, if you will, to get what we want, instead of just dutifully going through a process. And that can help us resolve some problems and goals and achieve our goals a little more quickly as well. So some of that could come into play. And one other thing about the Seven of Swords is that maybe there is a situation we've been turning a blind eye to, and now we have to deal with it head on. Now that leads us into the Death card, and this Friday the 13th that I'm recording on. The Death card is one of the most feared and most misunderstood cards of the deck, because when it shows up often in a reading, I don't translate it as a physical death. This is more of a etheric or spiritual or emotional mental death. It's really asking us to transform and transition, letting go of some bad habits, letting go of the things that are no longer serving us. If you think about it, it comes right after the Hanged Man, which is where we spend a time to pause and reflect. And now, once we've done that, we're ready to take on the next phase of our evolution, but we can't keep carrying around the same stuff, right? It's that shit sack that we've been carrying around that we need to go, okay, wait a minute, that doesn't serve me. I don't want to keep repeating that particular pattern. So the Death card is inviting us to honor where we are right now, and then also to say, I'm going to do some things differently than I've done before. And so it's a real significant indicator that yes, change and transformation and transition are happening. Perfect for a full moon. I mean, it just really re-emphasizes things. The Death card also has elements of sudden or unexpected change. So this is one of those things where we have to learn to let go of control, and that you cannot plan for everything, that you can prepare yourself. That's why we have spiritual practices, is so that when we are met with that unexpected or the shock of some information that may come to light, that instead of reacting the way that we would in the past, we can ground and meet it in a different way than we have before. So I love Friday the 13th, by the way. I think 13 is a magical number. It's Hecate's number. Those of you who know that I am in service or of service to the goddess Hecate. And I love Friday the 13th for her, to honor her. So I will be doing ritual for her as well today. But 13 is actually a very magical number in the essence of being able to tune into the intuition, the unknown, and to be of service through a humble presence. And I think that's the thing about 13 that's super important. Now, let's talk about some of the energetics as we move through this weekend into the next week. So we're feeling the buildup of this full moon. And we have, as I mentioned, Mars is spending time in Cancer, and it will spend a lot of time in Cancer, because as it transitions into Leo in November, it's then going to hit a retrograde pattern in December and retrograde back into Cancer in January. So we've got a lot of time with Mars in Cancer. Pay attention to the themes that are showing up. You know, we're with Mars in Cancer, we may find ourselves really fiercely fighting for the things that have meaning to us, that help us feel like we belong, or there's family stuff that's happening, maybe some stuff from the past that comes up, and it can create a lot of emotional triggers, you know, but we can't heal what we don't feel. So feel through them, but don't let the emotions take over. We're learning how to master our energy and tame it, which means forming strong emotional bonds, so that we can learn to love every part of us without it taking over and us playing, I guess, the martyr, the victim to our emotions, and go, well, I had no control over it. Well, you don't necessarily stop what you're feeling, because that's important, but you also know that you're not going to get overwhelmed by it and then project it onto someone else. And Mars in Cancer is a beautiful energy to be able to say, wait a minute, if I can just relax and go with the flow, and I can collaborate with others, and I can use gentle persuasion, then I might be able to move the ball down the field, so to speak, or get things moving forward. So these are some things that we're going to be working with. The other thing with Mars and Cancer is a lot of passive aggressive energy in here. So we're going to be invited to be more direct in saying, what is it that you really want? Why are you really asking for that? Or why are you really saying that? Instead of placating or being snarky, right? So another good reminder, and I mentioned this in my light and shadow report, is that we don't want to make assumptions. Mars and Cancer can make a lot of assumptions, create a big telenovela that we tell ourselves, and then we shoot people with our words, if you will, or with our looks, and we're making assumptions before asking questions, and that can really harm our relationships. And I think that's another emphasis that we're going to be having over the next few weeks, especially as information comes to light, that how is it harming or healing our relationships? We have on Sunday, I mentioned the 15th, we have Venus and Jupiter making a beautiful harmonious aspect. And what that is going to do, it's a trine. So that gives us a bit of ease or naturalness with the energy. So I would say today, moving in through the weekend, that it can create a sense of harmony within our relationships, and that our communication can be at an all-time high, and it can feel lighter because we're working with air signs, Gemini and Libra here. And it can signal a lot of joy and optimism and strengthen bonds of friendship, not just romantic, but if you have that foundation of friendship, if you're in a romance, that also gives you more appreciation and more ease when it comes to connecting with each other. It also gives you a greater sense of cooperation, and maybe there's some shared interest and wisdom that you want to share with one another. It gives you a lot of abundance as well. You may find yourself being a lot more social this weekend. And that also connects and heightens the beautiful connection that you have with one another. So that's some energy leading into this full moon, which can be really great if you're dealing with some information that comes to light around the full moon, where it says maybe it's not between you and a particular significant relationship. It could be that you're supporting or witnessing, say, family members or friends that are going through something pretty big. Some of you may also have some conversation with someone from the past with that Mars and Cancer that needs to come up and out so that you can heal it, or so that you can have some clarity and some finality around past issues. So that also could come up. Now, the other thing that I will say is we're really looking at patterns this week. So pay attention. What are patterns? What are themes, common themes that keep revealing themselves to you, or you find yourself, I guess, sort of stuck in? This is a great opportunity to shift out of that stuckness and move forward with saying, no, you know what? I'm going to create some healthy boundaries, and I'm going to communicate that, and I'm going to stick with it. Self-care is also highly, highly emphasized this week. So if you don't have a good self-care routine, it's good to put it into place. And then we have the autumn equinox on the 22nd, and that's when the sun moves into the sign of Libra. And it gives us a moment just to find more balance, more harmony in our lives, where we feeling that it hasn't been equal, or there's not enough reciprocity. Maybe you're giving more than another, and you're ready to have someone give to you as much, right? And it also gives us a little bit more emphasis on relationships, and wanting to have that connection, if you will. Those of you who are single, looking for love, and maybe you had to let go of somebody from your past in order to move forward with somebody new, this is a great time, the equinox time. It's wonderful for connecting and socializing and mingling, and being set up with friends, have your friends set you up with somebody, that sort of thing. But really, it's a time to find joy, and the things that you're most passionate about, the things that bring you the most joy, and following that, and just letting the connections happen naturally. All right, you guys, that's a little taste of what's coming. I'm going to talk more about it on Monday, as well as share some of the insights and information and experiences that I had, like I mentioned, with the graduate event and John Lockley. And I'm looking forward to spending that time with you. I hope you guys do something fun and special today on Friday the 13th. And if you don't, that's okay. But don't go into the fear place. Just pay attention to how every little ingredient we add to this grand experiment of life can help to change some of the patterns that we've been stuck in that no longer serve us. So embrace that. All right, you guys, I hope it helps. Please come find me at 12listen, jamiedawn.com. And I look forward to connecting with you. Have a great week, everyone.